Hello, everybody. Today we have with us an expert. He's an expert in chemistry and he calls himself an innovator. Let's find out what he does. Right now we have with us Anil Parambath. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Anil.
So thank you very much, Dr. Mathur, for this opportunity. I'm very delighted to be part of this, your podcast. So my name is Anilkumar Parambath. So people call me Anil. That is a short name. So I'm originally from Kerala, India. So right now I'm in Malaysia. So I'm living here and working here. So what I will do is I will start from my childhood and then what are the progress in life. I will explain last 20 years or 30 years time, whatever I did. So I was born in a small village called Balusheri. So that is in a district called Calicut. Calicut is pretty much everybody knows about Calicut because that is the
Yes.
place first time the Vasco da Gama, the European person came and landed. It's a very historic town. But I was a little bit in a rural area of Calicut called Balusheri. I was born in a family of farmers. So my parents they were high school dropouts. So they didn't do well in education or they didn't get the opportunity that time. So I was mostly raised in a farm. So I was very much interested in farming activities, taking care of cows, chickens. So I'm very much like I was a farmer, young farmer that time. But my parents always wanted me just focus on studies. They don't want me to become a farmer or anything. So they pushed me for that, especially my mother. She was very much pushing me because initially I was not interested in studies and all. So like these days, I didn't go to nursery school or anything. I directly, at the age of around 6, I directly joined first standard in a government school nearby, maybe 2 kilometers from my house. I can walk and go. So I started there. So I started liking the studies. So my parents were supporting me. My teachers were supporting me. So I studied in Malayalam medium. That is my mother tongue. So I was studying. I did pretty well in studies that time. In Kerala, we used to have some scholarships called lower primary scholarship, upper primary scholarship. So I qualified all these scholarships, everything. So I got a lot of encouragement from teachers. Then slowly I progressed in my studies. Then I reached high school. So when I reached high school time, I was very much interested in studies, especially in science. So my favorite subject was physics that time. So I want to be, that time itself, I had a thought I want to be a scientist. So because that time, most of people tell you go to medical stream or engineering, but I was sure because I was very much interested in science. I want to be a scientist. So 10th class, I qualified with a good mark. They call it distinction, more than 18% marks and all. So and after that, usually there are two streams that time. So they call higher secondary. That is like sometimes they call +2. There was another stream called pre-degree. So pre-degree means you are leaving schools and joining in a university or college. So it's a 2-year course. So my uncles or some well-wishers suggested that rather than going to a higher secondary, better go to a pre-degree course. So that is the environment is very close to university, college. So I actually now they stopped that program. That time it was there some 25 years back. So I joined for the pre-degree program. So that time the study was a little bit difficult because till 10th I studied in Malayalam. Everything I studied in Malayalam except English as a second language. I studied English second language, Hindi third language, like that. So a lot of, especially science, a lot of terminologies I studied in Malayalam, my mother tongue. So when I entered the pre-degrees, everything in new terminology. For example, as a chemist, we call compound in many chemical compound. So we in Malayalam it's called samyuktam, like that. In physics we call velocity. In Malayalam I studied pravegam, like that. In biology we call cells, right? In the cell, our cell. In Malayalam I studied kosham. So it was very difficult initially because it's a new language. Because I was not very fluent in English that time. I just studied as a language. So pre-degree was a little bit difficult for me, especially I had to, because I need to. So I was because I was schools I was studying very well. I couldn't do that well in pre-degree because language instruction medium issue. So I scored decent mark around 60%, 64%, I think. So after that, my obvious choice was to join for a Bachelor of Science course. So pre-degree time, I got a lot of interest in biology. So my initial choice was to join for a biology course, like a BSc in botany or BSc in zoology. But a lot of my, well-wish, because I was myself or my parents, we were not very well exposed to the academic world or industry. We were not sure which course to choose or anything. So some of my well-wishers suggested me maybe physics would be the best choice, or second is chemistry. So don't go for biology, because that time my aim was to complete my degree in science. Then you go for a bachelor of education. There's a course. Then you can join as a high school teacher or higher secondary teacher. So that's what my parents' suggestion. They got suggestion from relatives and all. So that's why I ended up in chemistry. Not like I was very much liking chemistry that time. That time my interest was in biology. So I ended up in chemistry. So I started a BSc chemistry course. So I studied at a college called St. Joseph College, Devagiri. It's a government college, but managed by Christian management. It's a top college in Kerala. It's affiliated to University of Calicut. So I completed my bachelor's in chemistry there. So this is the time you realize chemistry is going to be part of your life, because you're getting a degree in chemistry. So I started liking chemistry after 1 year. Then in my class, I topped in chemistry. So I did very well in a BSc course. I scored more than 80% marks. Then after that, obvious choice is, because with BSc alone in India, you won't get a job. So the obvious choice was to go for a master's in chemistry. So I applied for the master's in chemistry course, and I got a chance to the nearby. There is another college, Malabar Christian College. It's a very more than 100 years old college, started by Christian missionaries that time. So I joined that college for MSc chemistry course. So I studied very well that time. So that time the research was not in my mind. So I want to complete the chemistry course and complete the Bachelor of Education and join as a teacher. That's what the plan. So my focus was mostly reading books and studying the fundamentals of chemistry. So that time I got an opportunity to do some research. So as part of the MSc program, you have to complete some small thesis, like a couple of months you spend in a lab and make a thesis. So I was sent to Trivandrum. There is that time it was called Regional Research Laboratory. This is managed by CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. So I went to Trivandrum, spent 2-3 months there and did research. So that was my first exposure to cutting edge research. So I was mentored by Dr. Jay Kannan. So he also recently joined as a scientist there after completing PhD and postdoctoral study. So he motivated me a lot. So for him, I was like a first cohort of students. So he gave me some tough cutting edge problems. So I worked on 3 months. We got some good results. So we got some results that could be publishable in a journal, that kind of. So I completed that course. That time I got this interest in research, because I got that taste of research. So you're generating some new knowledge or new technology. That fascinated me. So that I completed my master's research, and then prepared a small thesis, everything. Then I presented my thesis here. Everybody appreciated. Then that time, if you want to continue as a PhD student, you need to qualify. We have the UGC national eligibility test. So during my MSc time itself, I tried. So that time I couldn't qualify for that exam. Then what I did is, that time CSIR was offering something called CSIR internship. It's a paid internship for 1 or 2 years. So I applied for that. So I qualified that one. That one was not as tough as UGC exams. So I joined in the CSIR laboratory in Trivandrum. That time it was called Regional Research Laboratory. Now they changed the name to National Institute of Interdisciplinary Science and Technology. It's a national lab. So I joined as a CSIR intern. That time again I prepared for a UGC exam. And during that 1 year period, I qualified the exam. Then I joined as a PhD student. So my PhD work was with Dr. Jay Kannan. So he
just 1 minute.
Sure.
Tell me how you explained all this to your parents.
My parents were very much supportive. They wanted me to go ahead in my studies.
Okay.
Because they had
how do you explain what you are doing?
I didn't give any technical things and all. So I told them I am going to get a PhD, that kind of thing I am doing.
Yeah.
So they were aware about PhD, that is the highest
Okay.
degree, that they
Yeah.
are well aware.
Okay.
But they were not aware about what are the possibilities.
Yeah.
Because after MSc also they were telling you better do a B.Ed, then you go. In
Yeah.
case if you couldn't complete the, you know, your research, you can join as a teacher in a
Yeah.
high school or higher secondary.
Yeah.
But they were very supportive, whatever, because that time I'm in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So they know that I'm a adult, so I know the things better than them. So they were
Yeah. Yeah.
supporting. So
Okay.
they
Good.
never say anything, they were not stopping me for my
No. Okay. Fine.
studies.
All right.
So they
Good.
gave me the permission, you go ahead,
Yeah.
whatever you. But only thing that you should not regret later in your life. That's what they told me. You take a decision and fight for it and get it.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
Because Kerala, if you never visited Kerala, the environment is that all the parents they want their kids to be high, learn, they do studies, reach higher in their education. They were not very much worried about how they make money, all these things. So they all want you get highest level of education. So there's a lot of focus in Kerala in that kind of, because we have a lot of institutes also. Because Kerala, most of the people go to government institutes, schools, colleges, and all. We don't go generally private schools and all. So yeah, then I reached there. So that time, so that was 15 years, 15, 20 years back. That time sustainability was not a buzzword like these days. Now is the buzzword. A lot of focus on that. But that time itself, my PhD advisor told me, as a chemist, if you can develop something from natural renewable resource, that would be very good. You'll be helping the planet. Good for the planet. That's what he told me. So my thesis was focused on developing materials from renewable resource. So I selected cashew nut shell liquid. So this is a industrial byproduct from cashew processing industry. If you go to southern part of Kerala, there's a district called Koilon. That area is famous for cashew processing industry. So they get cashew nuts from around the globe. A lot of cashews from Africa and all. They process here. A lot of factories they process. So I approached some factory. We collected this, industrial waste. So they gave me as a gift, maybe 50 kg or something that time. Then I took this back to laboratory. We did a lot of extraction, purification, and we isolated these molecules. These are natural molecules. And I use these as a base material for all new development of new materials. So we developed a lot of molecules, polymers. So I felt very excited about this. We are developing something from natural resource. We are reducing the carbon. That time the carbon footprint, this kind of terminology was not there. So we were calling it a green chemistry. So we developed a lot of molecules, and that time getting a publication in green area was a little bit difficult, but because as a new chemistry wise, you are not doing that much new, because this is a new chemistry, the transformation, everything is similar, but you are using a natural resource. That initially we struggled to get good publication, but later we got a lot of good publication in American Chemical Society journals. So I published around 8 first author papers during my PhD time. So before completing my PhD, I almost published all the papers. So writing thesis was pretty much easy for me. All the tables, figures, everything was ready. So I completed my thesis writing in 2-3 months. Then I submitted in 2009 August actually. Then the thesis, evaluation, external examination, it took some time, 5 months or something. So I defended in January, actually the same day, January 29, 2010. And during that time, I applied for this postdoc, and I got a position at Clemson University, South Carolina. So my visa, everything was ready. So I defended my thesis. The next day, I flown to US. I didn't even go to my hometown to visit my mom. Because my dad came to Trivandrum to see my defense, all this. So I reached the US. The first experience as well as the first flight for me. It was a pretty long journey. So the flight was from Trivandrum to Mumbai. Then Mumbai, I took a direct Chicago flight. It was a direct flight. It was a lot of, I felt a little bit risky, first time traveling alone, all these things. I entered the US, then I reached the Clemson. Clemson is a very small town in South Carolina. So near to the Greenville, Spartanburg area. So from Chicago, I traveled to Greenville area. Then I faced Clemson. So Clemson is a very beautiful small town. It's a college town. So very beautiful place. Since it is a southern part of US, it's warmer, very good weather. I like the place. People are also a little bit, very, very. You might have heard the southern hospitality and all that. People used to come and invite you to their house. I go to visit the church, visit people. So I had a very good cultural interaction between the local people there. Also, I got a lot of friends in university. So my advisor was Professor Yappingson. So he's a leader in carbon nanotechnology. So he trained me on all these carbon nanomaterials like a carbon nanotube, graphene. So I did a lot of good work with him. I spent 2 years, published so many papers. I think 10 plus papers I published with him. Then I had 2 years period. So I had a very productive year. So as I mentioned earlier, I had a very good interest in biology. I remember earlier days. So I thought, now I got enough training in material science, everything. So I want to do something in biology related field. So I got an opportunity from Paris. There is a national lab called CEA Paris. That is in a southern part of Paris, in a place called Saclay. So that is managed by the French Atomic Energy Commission. So there I joined in their biology division. So there I was working with the Dr. Eric Doris. So I was working on developing materials, polymers for drug delivery applications, like how you target the tumor using materials. So for example, we develop some materials. So once you inject that, this will target the tumor. It will go and accumulate in the tumor area so that you can do a better treatment for tumor, all these things. That was the development. So I'm not going too much deal into technical things. I had a good experience. Since Paris is a big metropolis, so many museums, all this. It was all the weekends I used to go and visit the museum, spend time with my friends there. It was a very good experience. I spent 2 years in that laboratory. Then I want to continue that journey in the biomedical science. So that's why I moved to Vancouver. So I got an opportunity with the UBC Vancouver, University of British Columbia. So I joined the Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine. So I was working with clinicians there, so developing new polymer materials for blood compatible applications, for like a blood bags or in any materials that can be injected inside the body. So I was developing a lot of these kind of materials. I spent 3 years at UBC. Then UBC, that the Vancouver is like a very multicultural kind of city. You can find there's a few areas with a Chinese population. We have huge Indian population. So then, of course, the Canadians, the white people. So I had a very good multicultural kind of experience there. So I had a very good experience. So during that time, I got married also. So my wife also came with me. So we had a very good life in Vancouver, 2, 3 years. So there also I did a lot of good research and we published good papers. We published like journals like Nature and Communications, like a top tier journals. So I spent good number of years in the academic research. So I developed a lot of new knowledge and published papers, also able to publish a couple of books and all. But I got a feeling that still I'm not addressing any real world kind of problems, So mostly I generate new knowledge and publish as a paper or book. That is the product. After I'm not going beyond that. That's what I thought. I want to, maybe I want to join in industry so that you can see the full life cycle of a product, from the conception to a product launching. That's why I try to apply in the industrial kind of positions. That time I got a very good opportunity from Bangalore Biocon. Biocon is a big pharma company, biotech company in India. So I joined in their R&D arm called Syngene. They do R&D mostly. So basically Syngene work for clients. It's like a service kind of organization. They work for various clients in US, Europe, and work for them and help them to develop things. So I spent a couple of years with them. I learned all this industrial R&D, because that transition from academic research to industry is very different. Because academic purely based on your results. We are not worried about the scalability, whether you can transfer this technology to a large scale product development. So that was a very good experience. So I really enjoyed that. It was initially it was very difficult because I came from an academic background. You don't know how the industry works. The culture is very different, academic culture and industrial culture. But I soon adapted to that. My boss was helping me for all that transition. So I did that transition. I really enjoyed that work, whatever I did. So since this is a service organization, I thought, I want to join as a product development kind of company. Then I moved to Mumbai and joined a company called ACG Capsules. So they develop capsule shells for pharmaceutical and nutraceutical applications. As you know that capsules are mainly made from gelatin, that is an animal product. So now there is a lot of interest in vegetarian capsules. So I was mostly involved in developing vegetarian capsules based on cellulose and other biopolymers. So I had a good stint with them. I spent around 3 years. So with them, so I was leading a team of material scientists there. Then that time, the 2020, the COVID broke out. Mumbai was like an epicenter of COVID in India. You might have remember that.
Yeah.
So that year, 2020, I became a father also. So 2020, yeah. So I have a small child. You are in the middle of COVID. Because I was really liking the work, everything. Life, I like the Mumbai life as well. But I was very much scared, because of COVID, all this. My parents were also telling, you're far away, you cannot even come and visit. So that's why I moved back to Bangalore again. Because from Bangalore, I can reach my home in 5-6 hours,
Yes.
very nearby,
Yeah.
So that is the reason I moved back to Bangalore again. So I joined Unilever R&D there. So Unilever, they have a big R&D center there. So I was in their home care department. I was helping them, in their home care product development.
Yeah.
So there also I spent some around 3 years. Then I got a lot of Unilever is a multinational, that kind of big company. I got a lot of exposure on that kind of things. The culture itself is very different. A European company, all this.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of exposure, learnings from them.
Yeah.
Then I got this opportunity here in Malaysia. So yeah, I relocated here 6 months back. So I'm really liking the life here. So here, as I mentioned earlier, in Vancouver, here there is a huge Indian community. They're Malaysian Indians actually.
Yeah.
So here I'm not missing India actually. Whenever I go outside, I'm seeing Indian people. Shops are many Indian shops.
Yeah.
So I'm very much adapted here. So I am very much liking here the place.
Yeah.
So also here I'm really seeing a very multicultural environment. You have the Chinese culture, Indian culture, Malay culture. So really like a hot pot of this culture, multiculturalism.
Yeah.
So now, as I mentioned in the beginning, so today is the Chinese New Year. So we have a lot of celebrations going on around here.
Yeah.
I'm very much enthusiastic about that.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. It's a great journey and certainly great credit to your tenacity and resilience and let me say brilliance that you have come this way, come this far is a great story. Let's just look at your personal side. All you've talked about is your professional side.
Correct.
Let's hear a little bit about your personal side.
Sure.
What do you enjoy? What is it that makes you happy? What do you do? Some personal stuff.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm married. So I'm married to Dr. Vandana Nambiar. So she's a biotechnologist actually. She also a working mother. Then I have a son. He's 4 years old. He's a toddler, still toddler. So these days I spend a lot of time with him, playing with him. Because at this age he asks a lot of questions. He has a lot of questions I have to answer. So I'm building so I'm seeing the world through him these days actually. Because we are very grown as a grown-up people. We are very judgmental about everything. So as a young man, he is very curious. He's not at all judgmental. He's asking the real questions, Answering his question, that gives me a lot of joy.
Hmm.
And also, I'm very much attached to family, so I spend time with family. We go out, we enjoy Indian food, all these things. So other than that, see, I lived a good chunk of time away from my hometown or family. That's why one reason I am very much active on social media, especially LinkedIn platform, because when you live outside of your hometown or abroad somewhere, you may not have a lot of chance for a social life. It's limited. There are a lot of limitations. So that's what I thought. Maybe some 10 years back, let's explore the social media life. At least you can be social that way. So I started my LinkedIn journey maybe some 12 years back.
Yeah.
So yeah, initially I post some whatever whenever I publish some papers, that kind of thing. Some 5 years back, I thought, I gained a lot of experience. So I have some expertise. Let's share some of our experience, expertise with the community so that it may be helpful for them. So I'm pretty much active these days. I post every day. I'm pretty much active content creator. Also, yeah, in science area, I'm kind of they label me as a top voice in LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I'm pretty much active. I try to bring some original, content, with I hope it is useful for, especially for youngsters.
Hmm.
So through LinkedIn, a lot of young people connect with me regarding advice, all these things. So whenever possible, I'll give my best advice based on my experience. I
Hmm.
cannot give the best. I won't say the best advice based on my whatever experience I have. I can
Hmm.
give that advice. So that's why I feel very good. At least I'm helping some people for advancing their career or
Hmm.
knowledge.
Hmm.
So that's what other than that, I don't have much hobby. So I'm a little bit health conscious. I do regular exercise, try to eat good food, because now I'm in the middle age, early 40s.
Yeah.
I still now these days I control my food, all these things, because I used to be a foodie. So while I was in my 20s or 30s,
Yeah.
I used to eat a lot of food. So I am very exploratory kind of person in terms of food. I don't have any reservations or restrictions. I eat all kinds of food.
Okay.
So I explored a lot of food because I lived in France, Canada, US, and all kinds of food I explored
So,
actually.
so tell us two or three non-Indian things that you have really picked up and enjoyed. Eat food. I mean, not culture, but non-Indian stuff. That food culture, what that you've really enjoyed. I mean, because you've
Okay.
been in so many different places. So tell us.
Yeah, regarding the food thing, so see, these days I'm restricting. Though it's a junk food, I really like the food like burger, pizza, and all. I know that these are not very healthy food. So earlier days I used to eat a lot. Somehow the taste I like it very much. That I started while I was in US. I started eating this kind of thing. Because
Okay.
while growing up in a small village, I never eaten pizza, burger, or till maybe the
Yeah.
first time I ate pizza, maybe 27 or something. So that is the one food in terms of food. And culture wise, still I'm very much Indian in my heart.
Okay.
Maybe in the dressing and all, I wear a lot of modern dress, but I'm very much Indian. I don't think it will change.
Okay.
That is the root for us.
Okay. Okay.
Inside home, I still see. Usually, people when you go outside, you wear the like Bermuda, all these things. But inside house, I'm like a typical Malayali. I wear the lungi shirt. This
Yeah.
is my typical dress.
Okay.
I'm still very much Indian in my heart.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what tips do you have for young people?
Now, young people means see, you have to get the education is some of one of the things that can liberate you. Because most of the people focus on these days. I see social media and all, you see a lot of advice on how to make money, how to invest. In my opinion, the best investment is education. If you have education in a right expertise, you can get, I won't say you make a lot of money, but you can have a decent life.
Mm,
You can get a job with a
mm,
decent wage.
mm,
So you can survive, you can lead a decent life, at least
mm.
in a decent middle class life.
Right. Yeah.
So but once you get education, for example, once you get a PhD, publishing papers, these are all very rewarding experience in life, right?
Mm,
So you feel, for example, I remember when I published my first paper, the happiness I cannot, express that. It's so rewarding that, first time you become an author. This kind of some of the, I consider these are achievements in life.
okay. Wonderful. Okay. Um, any any final words?
Final
Last
words for
thoughts?
youngsters means,
No, not
see,
for youngsters, just
uh,
overall. Any final
overall, see,
comments?
in life, see, I came from a very humble background. So, life, you will face a lot of obstacles, that is part of the life, especially, you, so a person born in India or any, other kind of lower income countries, you are going to face a lot of challenges. But you have to overcome all these challenges and advance in your life. Eventually, I'm sure everybody can end up in a decent life.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Shall we end it here today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for this opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you. I try to express my, whatever journey I had. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Stay on. I want to talk to you. Stay. Don't go away. Once we
Yeah,
stop the recording, I'll talk to you. Okay.
sure, sure.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will be back with another young person or an expert soon. Till then, bye, everybody. Bye.